In this video I'm going to show you how to hang the Lewis & Wood wide width wall coverings, which as you can see give a really transforming effect to the room and in fact are relatively easy to install if you follow the instructions that I'm now going to give you. The tools you'll need will be a tape measure, scissors for cutting, a brush for sweeping out air bubbles, a blade for cutting, a cutting guide for the skirting and cornice trimming, and you'll need a metal cutting guide for cutting the overlap on the wall. In my bucket I've got a ready mix standard adhesive for the rollering of the wall, and for my brush for cutting in the edges I'm using a heavy duty red lid tub paste. So we've lined our walls with plain wide width lining paper, which is 155 centimeters wide. Now we're measuring to see how many drops we need before we start cutting. So wide width wallpaper is sold by the meter and comes in a large roll, unlike conventional wallpaper which comes in 10-meter rolls. The easiest way to work is on the floor. You don't need a table as you do with standard width wallpaper. So clear yourself a large space and roll out the roll. Measure to the full drop where you're going to cut and remove the die cut selvage. Crease this at the point of the full repeat and cut off your drop. So roll out your roll to the full repeat and match your first drop. Then mark it again, fold and crease it as before. You can see as the roll rolls up that the pattern is matching identically underneath. Continue to roll out and cut all your drops as required. In this instance, we have 3 drops, numbers 1, 3 and 5. You'll need to know this for when you're hanging the drops in sequence. So take your cut drops and move them to one side. And take your roll of paper and align it with the pattern on your existing. Once it's aligned, you'll see that there's a half drop repeat, a half repeat at the top of the roll, which is superfluous to requirement. But roll out and check that your pattern is matching before you cut. And when you're sure you've positioned it correctly, fold over that excess and cut this off. This is wastage, and this will be all the wastage there is, other than the allowance for trimming top and bottom that you've already taken into account. This is drop number 2. So now we're going to get underway with the hanging of the wall covering. And with this wide width wall covering, we are pasting the wall and not the paper. Mark out the position for your first drop and make a plumb line to mark your starting place. Then cut in the edges with the heavy duty adhesive and then roller on the other adhesive for the one drop that you're going to hang. So take your drop number 1 and align it with your plumb line, and when you position it, ensure that you have sufficient excess at the top for trimming. Allow the wall covering to unroll down the wall and then smooth it out with your hand or a brush. Once it's smoothed out and in position correctly, take your wall wizard and trim the excess off the top, bottom and the side if necessary. Keep the right hand edge out of the adhesive. Paste up for the second drop. I'm now going to hang the second drop and then align it overlapping onto drop number 1 so you can match the pattern, and then drop number 2 can roll down the wall and you match the pattern on the overlap all the way down. So when that drop now is in position, trim the top and bottom, and then just check your overlap. You should be overlapping by about 15 mil, but it can vary according to how it's been trimmed on the machines. Take your cutting guide and your blade and just mark down the join and drag your blade through both layers. And you'll find that when you get to the bottom, the top layer will drop off, lift up the overlap, and then the underneath piece will be stuck in the adhesive. Just pull it off and it should come straight away. The adhesive will probably have come off with those pieces that you've just trimmed, so repaste that join, that seam, with some heavy duty tub paste just to make sure that it all pulls in nicely. On this third drop going into the corner, I'm rolling the drop vertically to make it easier to line up. So match the pattern on the overlap, trim top and bottom as before, and then trim your overlap to create an invisible seam once again. The most important thing on the overlap is to check all the way down the drop that the pattern is matching. Don't just take one spot and match it and think that it's going to be all right all the way down. The joy of this product is that it gives a really excellent and flawless finish. I do hope you found this video useful, but should you need any further guidance or assistance, then please call Lewis & Wood direct.